Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hi, you guys. It's Blaise, and this is Full Spectrum Feeling. This week is a love letter to Carrie Roseman Portrait Studio. Oh my God, Carrie, you're amazing, and I just wanted to thank you so much for helping me step into this next level self that I've been talking about in the podcast. So Carrie is an incredible photographer. She is all about helping you step into your next level self, see yourself the way that other people are seeing you, and really capture the honest truth of who you are. So she does not only branding photo shoots, but she does personal shots for your legacy to leave for your children, for your family, portraits for your home, and she does boudoir, which is really, really cool. And I have not explored yet. So I had an appointment with Carrie a few weeks ago to get my branding shoot done for the podcast, for my coaching practice. And honestly, I'm looking at it as these are also legacy photos for me, just to remember how I was at this moment in time at 42 to hand down to my kid. And I think that works for me because my brand and myself are so tight. I teach and I coach what I've lived and what I know, and I can only be who I am. I don't know how to pretend to be quote unquote more professional than I am. I don't know. You'll see when these photos finally get illustrated and the cover of the podcast changes and all of that stuff. But I made the appointment, and the whole way I had my hand held. And it was wonderful because I'm thinking, I don't know how to do this stuff. I don't know even what happens in a photo shoot of this magnitude. This was more fancy than even happened at my wedding by 1,000 times. So there was a consultation. There was a questionnaire. What do you want to express? Why do you want this at this point in your life? What's going on? How can we help capture that? Is there how do you want to use the photos? Where are they going to be? What's the purpose behind them? So it really made me think about who I am and what I want to convey and how am I going to use it. So that got me fired up. And then I got to go for an actual in-person consultation. So she sent me this list and she's like, these are the kinds of things that you might want to bring, these kinds of clothes, photograph better than others. This is what to avoid. This is what to try. So I got to go through my closet and then bring a bunch of things to try on at the studio. Let me tell you, having someone help you pick out what looks good and pair it up nicely takes so much stress out of a photo shoot. And it was so fun. So one, what a freaking treat for me to leave my home and play dress up for an hour and a half without my child, without my husband. No one's there but me and Carrie, and we're having a great time, and we're just taking quick little shots and jotting notes these jeans, this shirt, maybe not that, this neckline, that's pretty wrong cut, that won't photograph well, let's try this. And I got to try on stuff that their studio had. So much fun. Different shoes, different boots, get to talk about what would I do with my hair, all of that. So then I have my list and I know what I want and we've picked it out. So I put it all aside in my closet and it sits there for a week until I actually have photo shoot day. The day before, I'm ironing sweaters. Are you kidding me? I was well, I'll make it so that we have nothing that we have to do other than hop in these outfits and have fun. And it was so much fun. So arriving, they had a little sign, "Welcome Blaise." And nothing makes you feel more like a celebrity when there's a little placard saying, "Welcome to your photo shoot, Blaise," as you walk through the door. So I'm immediately going, oh my God, it's happening. This is great. And her staff, oh my gosh, they're so wonderful. There's a dedicated makeup and hair woman, and she's amazing, Miranda. And we were chatting it up, and she's helping me with my hair, and we're doing makeup, and we're talking about how I pretty much never wear makeup, so we're going to kind of keep it light, even though under lights and under camera, like, you wear more makeup than you would. Like, that's fine. Felt so completely pampered. It was amazing. And I thought, like, okay, that's what it is. And then I'm going to get in these outfits and we're going to do some photos. But no, it was more crazy than that. It was so fun. So Carrie knows what she wants to do, and she's got a bunch of different setups for me, and she knows which outfit's going to be in which area with which background and props and stuff. And she has a videographer who's amazing, and she's, taking behind the scenes footage, and both her and Miranda are taking care of like every wrinkle on my clothes with every pose, like, hey, just like shift your shoulders this way, turn your head slightly this way. Okay. And then they'll come over and they'll tuck my hair and they'll move the clothes, and they had little clips, like little clamps to like tighten it for whatever angle. And it's amazing. And it made me think, holy shit, this is what Hollywood is like. This is why everything that we see on like magazine covers and whatever is, it's real, it's that person, but it's fabricated in the same way, and that, there's someone that's just pulling and tucking and making sure there's no wrinkles, and they're like just slightly altering, like, hey, just tilt your head up and then you're going to shift this way, and it'll feel kind of awkward, and you never would actually be able to hold that position for more than 5 minutes, but it looks amazing on camera. But beyond that, what was so fun was having them bring out me, my personality. So it's poses where she's like, get in the way that you would get in, and then we'll slightly modify it so it photographs better. But it's also bringing up the emotion that is you, letting me laugh, letting me smile and be goofy and roll my eyes and, have my hedgehog mug. I can't wait for those pictures. And to allow my silliness, to allow my own passion to come through and my joy, which I think is a lot of what I am. And that's how I coach, is I'm helping people find their joy, and I'm helping them find who they are. It brings me a lot of joy, brightness to my life, and to watch that bubble up and come through, super duper fun. So then I go home. The day is over. We did 4 hours of shooting photos. We had outfits and scene changes. I got to, have my power outfit on and do a speech essentially and be on stage and like have all of this captured. And it felt amazing. And I walked out of that feeling like, yeah, I now know why Next Level Blaze does this, because it feels so good and so badass to be treated that way, to see myself as someone worthy of being treated that way, to know that I'm going to receive like the literal reflection of that, right? Like these images of those moments that I can use on my website and, as a headshot, whatever. That's how I can see myself now, because that is who I am. I showed up that way for those hours. And it was like an instantaneous shift even in how I was showing up with clients and, reaching out to people and saying, hey, I can help you. And it's so interesting because I believed I could help before, and I believed even more after, if that makes sense. Like the belief was there, but it just got crystallized a little bit sharper, and I felt it. And I've had that since that moment where I'm like, yeah, this is how I show up, and things, may never turn out exactly the way that I would envision them to, because life always, it shows up the way it wants to show up. But I know what's possible, and I know who I am, and I can keep showing up that way, and the results will follow. That, so good. So good. So then later on, I get called back. I get to go back to the studio, and I get to have my reveal. And let me tell you, it's like this whole experience is so delicious. That's what I want to say. I love deliciousness. And it's showing up and having like pull yourself up on the couch. Here's some water. Let's watch a slideshow. Like we're going to have a movie of your behind the scenes and what that day was like and re-evoke it in your memory. And as I was watching this movie of me, right? Like my photo shoot day with Carrie and her people. And I'm like, God, I just feel at home and this is fun. And we had this moment and it existed. Here it is in film. And it reminded me of the feeling I had at Illustration Masterclass on that first day when you'd go up and you'd sit in like the auditorium, right? And there's like this amazing slideshow that Rebecca would put together of everybody's artwork and just them working on their paintings and illustrations and the feeling that you'd get as there's like music and the crescendo and you're like so moved to tears by like, this is what's happening. These are people living their dream, doing amazing work. And it was watching myself be presented that way. And it almost makes me want to like tear up talking about it because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm being presented that way and I can get that excited about me. Holy shit, that's cool. Next level Blaze, yes. So we watch that and then there's a slideshow of all of these photos and we're going to narrow them down to the ones I'm going to pick. And she was so wonderful at helping me efficiently say yes, no to all these photos because you can't look at 100 photos and then say like, buy them all. Like that's not the point. The point is to have what you really need for your purpose. And I feel like we really did that day. Like we really narrowed it down to photos I really love that will be fun to share. And I was so happy that one, clearly I show up smiling a lot. Like I'd say 80% or more of my photos were just me laughing, me smiling, and just genuinely being a goofball. But there was other expressions and I was able to find those as well. And they felt true and they were like me. And to be able to say like, yes, even showing off frustration, showing off the like, what the fuck kind of feeling that we have sometimes, like all of those were captured and they're there. And it's funny because there's one of me talking and giving a speech, right? And I see myself as I'm recording this right now, like making the gesture with my hands, like, wow, this is what's happening. So to see it and have it captured and have it not just be like my crappy cell phone photo, it's professional goddamn photos. I look amazing. I feel amazing in them and I'll get to present them that way and still feel like I show up as me and I look like myself and I'm not pretending to be anything that I'm not. And I'm so grateful. So Carrie Roseman, you are incredible. Thank you so much for that experience and for the opportunity to show up like that. And what I also want to talk about in a little bit more depth is, what holds you back from doing something like this, or at least what was holding me back from stepping into this like up-leveling self. And I think there's this fear that you're not ready yet. I think that was the big one for me is like, are you really ready to do that, to show up that way? Like, what if you do this and then you're not really that person and it's fake? And I've realized since like, no, you kind of have to show up and do it because it's not fake. It's the act of you doing it that gets you there, that let me experience on a more visceral level what it's like just being that person. I think we always think there's going to be a better time to do things. I guess the same way that, there's always a better time to have a kid or go back to school or whatever it is that you want to do. Like there's never actually an ideal time. And just like this was like up-leveling my business and showing up for myself like that, you kind of just have to dive in. And in diving in, what you need to learn, what you need to grow, it's revealed and it's right there. And the only thing separating you from it is just that willingness to show up. And I'm really learning how to just show up more and more in my life and show up imperfectly. You never have to be perfect. I think showing up imperfectly is kind of awesome. And I want everyone to do it because showing up means you're here. It means you're present. It means that there can be a conversation. And I love being present and meeting people and having that conversation. And I love seeing them in their truth, in their whole entireness, And that's something that for sure Carrie does in her work as well. And it really was an excellent collaboration. And I can't wait to share these photos with you. It's going to be so fantastic. So that is what I wanted to share this week. Thank you for coming along on my memory and just re-experiencing it with me. And I know that you'll see the fruits of this labor hopefully pretty soon, if not already, actually, by the time this goes live. So have a wonderful week, my friends. Keep shining. Don't be afraid to step into that next version of yourself. And know that however imperfectly you do it, it's just through the act of showing up that it happens. And one day you're going to look back and go, holy shit, I did it. And that will feel so delicious. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.